Welcome back. Nothing decided to work today. I don't know what's going on, but hey, hi. Welcome back to the Funker News Network. I'm Ronnie, and I'll be your host once again. We did have a long, drawn-out conversation about whether or not I was fired yet, but, you know, hey, here's another day, and another day that I'm not fired, so that's good. So welcome in today. Happy Tuesday. Slap the like button for me. Kick it right in the ass. Oh, beep, beep. I do have to talk about our sponsor for tonight. It's all the way over there. I'll be right back. Hold on. Our sponsor tonight is going to be Hardhead Veterans. This is my ATE Gen 2. I love it. I bought it myself. Nobody sent me this. I bought this. I bought the micro lattice inside. I bought my own contacts. It's all mine. I bought this stuff because I believe in it, right? It meets right in the middle for a ballistic helmet between that really spendy $2,000 price point and the $400 that it costed me for this. It provides me level 3 type protection. Keep in mind, NIJ doesn't have standards for helmets. It doesn't exist. So this hit my budget perfectly, and I'm a big fan. If you guys use the code Funker530 with Hardhead Veterans, you'll get money off your helmet as well. Welcome back. We're gonna get the tactical socks. Walmart. How is everybody doing? Ryan Clay, thanks for hitting the membership button. We got a lot to get through. I've got fuzzy shit on my stuff on my shirt. God, I'm potty mouth. I'm a potty mouth today. We're gonna kick things right out of the gate, though. First of all, thank you to everybody that's been swinging by over on the gaming channel side. I really appreciate you guys dropping in over there and saying hello. That feels good. Also, thank you to everybody that are members of the Funkers here that came over on Sunday to the Enforcer stream. Had a lot of fun over there. It was a good time, and we'll look at potentially doing that again in the future. We're gonna kick things off with the first video to hit the ground of the Switchblade 300. Now, the piece about the Switchblade 300 is that one. My understanding of the Switchblade 300 is not armor penetrating. It does not have the capability of, pushing its way through armor. But there is an individual on the top of this bad boy, and he probably isn't feeling so good after it. Now, the Switchblade 600, that one I believe does have anti-armor payloads, and it's coming up for you right out of the gate here. We're just going to go ahead and get started. Now, for obvious reasons, this video is going to cut off right there. And that's it. There is some sound to this one, but I chose to not play it simply because there's a lot of copywritten sound. But there's our very first video that we've seen. There's fuzzy stuff on my shirt. There's our very first video we've seen of the Switchblade in use. We still haven't seen anything about the Phoenix Ghost, right? But I did want to show that one to you. That one, actually, I've lied to you guys before. I said that every video we review here would be available on the website. That one's not yet on the website. The guys are working on it. But let's jump into the stuff that we have on the website. We got a long night ahead of us. I did have one more announcement before I showed that, though. We have marked all Funker merch to include the new NLaw shirt. We've marked all of that down for 15% off. The code is in the pinned comment along with the link. It's the code REMEMBER. If you don't understand why we use that code, ask a buddy, ask your friend. Welcome in, everybody. If you wouldn't mind, let me know where you guys are chiming in from. That'd be really helpful. Fuzzy Wuzzy on his shirt. Stop it. I love you, Ronnie Pooh. Thanks for the 4 months, Garrison. Outstanding. Welcome in. Long night. Eff it, I'm going to crack a beer. You know, I could actually use one for myself. I think I'm going to go for a White Claw tonight because I don't have anything to prove. Mr. Cricket, thank you for the $5. I have that not so fresh feeling. Baby wipes, my man, baby wipes. Let's get started with some interesting footage coming out of Mariupol. We've got a Russian TV truck broadcasting what would appear to be some form of propaganda. However, I have a translation for you guys, don't worry. And it's not what you think, right? It was still probably technically propaganda, but let's take a look at it here. Just crank it up. Give me some sound. So this is in Mariupol. What you're looking at here is a big, large TV truck. There's a big old screen on the side of that thing. And what the truck is saying is effectively mine corridor, but here special equipment is helping the military. So it's warning civilians about mines in the area and saying that the military is handling it. Now, somebody made a note in the Discord, and we have translators in the Discord that every so often will work with. Somebody made a note that it looked like, this would have to have been from earlier in the war, largely because it doesn't look like Mariupol is a scene from Enemy at the Gates. My comment to that is there are probably areas that don't look so bad. Let's just turn this down for a second. There are probably areas in Mariupol that don't look like a scene from Enemy at the Gates. And I would also note the greenery, right? As we approach springtime, things are going to be much, much greener. Earlier in the war, February to March, I don't think we would see this much greenery. So there's a likely chance that this is more current than that. I love Ronnie's pants. I love you, Roman. How long has the stream been up? 10 minutes and 23 seconds. Exactly. 27 seconds. 8 seconds. 29. 10 minutes and 30 seconds. All right, let's punch on to the next video here. Because we got a lot of videos to get through. We got a lot of non-Ukraine videos to get through today, including an officer-involved shooting that actually occurred last year that the investigation just finished. Again, we cover all types of combat footage, law enforcement use of force footage. That's our bread and butter, and we're really just here to show you what's happening in the world. Copy that. Thanks for the sit rep. I saw that, Daryl. I saw that. A mass shooting in Texas. The Ukrainian 3rd Mech Brigade, or 3rd Tank Brigade, released some footage near Sloviansk. I can show you guys that before we start. That location generally of where we're looking at here. Let's get the map up. So the Ukrainian 3rd Mech, which is here, coming up for you now, generally speaking. So you've got Sloviansk here, Severodonetsk is up here. This is in the east of Ukraine. Released some footage of Russian troops in the open, taking contact from artillery. So let's get that video going up for you guys. And here it comes. There is audio for this one, but I do believe it's copywritten. We'll give it a shot and see if it isn't. Nope, copywritten music. So we'll play our own music. Where'd you get that map? uawardata.com. So it looks like some kind of evac of wounded there. It gets stuck, I think. Man, that's tough. Regardless of who we're looking at here. Hold on. That's tough. Regardless of what we're looking at here, whether it's Russian or Ukrainian, it getting stuck while working through the process of, an evacuation for medical reasons, regardless of what they are, that sucks. That sucks hard. We're playing our own music because their music was copywritten and I have a license for this song. And it's called Hyperdrive by Sebastian Forslund. Troops in the open there. Same spot. You can see the artillery still hitting around them. The beat kind of hit perfectly on those two hits. I guess his thought was taking cover in that crater for a moment. All right, we'll kill the music. This one's over. So again, that was the 3rd Tank Brigade. And just to show you guys again where they're located, that's near Sloviansk. Here's a link to this map. It was just updated on the 20th. It's a small team that updates this map, so it's not going to be updated every day. In fact, it's quite honestly not necessary for it to be updated every day for the purposes that I use it. So I use this map almost entirely for the unit locations, generalized unit locations. So this is that tank, 3rd Separate Tank Brigade, right here near Sloviansk. Something that we're going to probably, if we have time, talk about is, this salient that's developing here just past Popasna is actually much further developed than this. The situation in the east is kind of turning south pretty rapidly for Ukraine over the last 24 to 48. But we'll, once we get through the combat footage, which again is the primary purpose of this show, to show you combat footage that we are seeing coming out of Ukraine, from Afghanistan, from who else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Iraq today. We're going to talk about Syria today. That's the purpose of this. Much less of, Ronnie's stupid head looking at a 2 different colors on a map and telling you what I think about it. Love from Australia. Hey, Ronnie, nice legs. Well, they open when you guys stop by over on the gaming channel and hang out with me there, too. All right, let's jump on to the next one. So we just watched that, and the next is Russian BM-21 Grads. Now, what's interesting about this is less about what's happening or what they're shooting at, because you have no idea what they're shooting at, and more about what the Russian version of Karl is doing in the far back of the formation. Keep an eye out and tell me one of these things is not like the other. Full screen for full effect.
Внимание! Залпом по 40 снарядов. 333!
All right, let's talk about this. Hold on, just to cover down on a comment. The map is a bit outdated. Yeah, I covered that. I really only use it for generalized locations of troops, of troop collections, right? So where are, generally speaking, units, at least within the last week or so. Inside of a week, it can be fine. The last they updated it was on the 20th. So let's talk about this. Who noticed the difference? I want to talk about angles. Right, I want to talk about how 4 of these BM-21 Grads have this same general angle that they're firing, and then Ivan in the back, which presumably is the Russian version of Karl, decides he's going to send it an additional 3 miles by pointing it straight up into Jeff Bezos. Watch this back vehicle's angle. That bad boy's firing up here. Now, there's probably obviously an explanation, as long as this is footage of some type of an actual operation rather than them just wasting this for great video. They could be targeting different, they could have different targets. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting that 4 of these vehicles have very flat trajectories, and then this one vehicle is sending it at a pretty extreme angle here in relation to the others, right? You can actually see the angle of these, and you can see the trail here of the other. All right, let's move on to the next video. Speaking of high angle fire, we've got more footage of Russia, and Ukraine does this, quite often as well. It's not a one-sided thing. Using high angle fire with a Ka-52 Alligator. Now, the high angle fire on this, there was a lot of talk about this a few weeks ago when we first kind of started, seeing it hit video. Effectively, what they're using the Ka-52 and presumably the, I want to say they're the S5 rockets, presumably the S5 rockets, which have anywhere from a half a kilometer to a 4 kilometer range for additional standoff, right? Rather than flying that chopper in very close. What they're essentially doing is angling it up so that they can get a little bit of extra range on those S5s. Copywritten music. So again, that high angle fire with the chopper. Just generally shooting in that direction. And I'm only making the assumption that these are S5s and not like S5Us, which, to be honest, aren't that much different. The difference between S5 rockets and S5Us is one rotates, the S5U rotates, which gives it a little bit better coefficient, and it also has a little bit additional payload on it. All right, next one. So the next one's going to come from the 79th Air Assault, which is just to the west of Severodonetsk. Coming up for you guys now. So here is your 79th Air Assault Brigade, just to the west, southwest of Severodonetsk. They released some footage of a tank laying a smoke screen. This one's been reviewed already, but something to keep in mind, guys, is we're only live twice a week. And we have yet to cover it here. And what's going to be interesting about this video is you're going to see the tank just dropping the smoke screen, trying to pull back in some way, and it doesn't end up being as effective as they, would hope. And they end up receiving a direct hit. Coming up for you guys now. So this is a smoke screen that it's laying in front of it. And this, again, is the 79th Air Assault. It gets hit hard there. And at some point, we see a dismount. Not sure where exactly he came from, because you can't really tell prior. And it is a Russian tank. Kind of continues on for a little ways. Again, there is music, but it's copywritten, so I can't play it. And now we have probably a little bit of a cook-off going on in there. But not the good kind with like burgers. Oh, that's a cookout. And here's your crew. Your crew was able to make it out. But, again, we are watching a Ukrainian filmed perspective. The Ukrainians are watching them dismount that vehicle and move. And then we have rounds, presumably landing, trying to target the dismounts after they left the vehicle. Remember, that's just about it for this video. All right. The next video I wanted to get to here is a Chechen patrol. I'm going to kind of let this one speak for itself. I'll let you guys tell me what you think about this video. Here's how it was reported. A Chechen patrol, Russian perspective Chechen patrol, comes under attack in Donbass. Here you go. Okay, so here's my thoughts. Unless they establish some form of like fire superiority or something, wherein whatever they were shooting at tucked tail and ran, there was no incoming fire. That's not uncommon for the videos that we've seen coming from the Kadrovites. But I'll leave that one up to you guys. How you doing, Ronnie? You all right, brother? Yeah, we were just watching. I was staying quiet on that one so that I didn't get called out for being, I don't know, like a, Ukraine lover or something. I don't understand. We're just showing you guys like the footage as we get it. All right, next one. So this one's actually pretty awesome. Well, it's not awesome because it's terrifying to watch. But I don't know. We've posted something similar to this from the Syrian civil war before, and it's almost like it's straight out of Call of Duty or something. Imagine driving through an artillery strike. I'm going to show you two videos. So the first video is going to be a press vehicle being escorted by a Ukrainian soldier driving just straight through an impact area and eventually stopping in the middle of the impact area and driving me absolutely crazy. Is Russia gaining ground? Yes, in the east. They are. We'll be talking about that here in just a little bit. Coming up for you guys now. I'm going to give you full screen. Go. All right, so again, that was a press vehicle, and if you look back here at the start of the video, you can see that they have in very large letters written press on the front of that vehicle. Just driving right through an impact area for artillery. But we've got another one too. This one is in a different area though. I don't have, all we know about that one is it's from, generally speaking, the Donbass. And this is near Liman. I can get a map up after we watch the video on this one. Civilian driving through artillery, another impact area coming up.
Это вот интенсивность обстрела, причем, я думаю, стреляют по мне, потому что тут больше никого в принципе нету на районе. Вокруг все горит, и только что я проезжал 10 минут назад, ничего этого не было. Вот. Как-то так. Чтобы вы понимали всю глубину проблемы. Потом люди плачут, заедь на адрес, забери лежачих, они не дойдут. Тут не то, что на адрес, тут просто проехать. Вот только что положили по маршруту. Все, я думаю, что это уже последние заезды в эти места. Мост должен закончиться, я думаю, скоро. Это уже у меня. Это уже у меня вот. Я думаю, что вполне что-то летает. Вполне что-то летает. Господи, благослови. Как-то так. Вот тут еще вот 10 минут назад провода были целые, дорога.
It almost seems like it's following him. It's not, but it just feels, I'm sure it feels that way for him. He keeps making turns and it keeps impacting around him.
Вот где я ездил, все полностью пашет.
All right. I want to clarify something I said a minute ago. I said Ukraine lover. I'm absolutely a Ukraine lover. I'm a Russia lover. I'm a you lover. I love you. But you specifically. What I'm not a lover of is people that have ordered the invasion of a sovereign nation. Right? I've been critical of my own government about that before. All right, let's move on, though. Let's move on. Before we do, though, enjoy this.
Only you can prevent
communism.
All right, welcome back. I made that myself. Merch is 15% off. Hit the like button for us. So the like button is the free way to support the stream, supports the channel. It helps us out a lot. It doesn't cost you a dime, but you can slap it right in the hind parts. Make sure when you do, you don't break it. But the best way to do it is kind of an uppercut. You got to get up and underneath of it. Don't want to come at it with a straight slap. It's not going to be effective enough. Let's move on to the next thing. So we got section 2 coming up here. Footage section 2 is typically where I cover the things that we have seen outside of Ukraine. Obviously, Ukraine is the biggest topic that everybody's talking about right now. It is one of the most important conflicts, the invasion of Ukraine. of at least our generation. It's reshaping global power as we knew it, and as we will know it. But there are still conflicts and fights happening all over the world, all of which Funker 530 covers. So the very first thing we're going to cover here is Turkish drone strikes hitting Kurdish fighters in Syria. We don't know if this is YPG, PKK. I don't know which Kurdish these are. It's an alphabet soup in Syria of groups and allegiances. They're changing alliances, almost like I change pants. I don't wear a whole lot of pants. I typically wear these bad boys, but you guys know what I mean. Coming up for you now. We've got copywritten music we're going to play our own. All right, again, so that's coverage that we had coming out of Syria. The next one is actually one that I want to spend just a few more seconds on, and this is an August 2021 shooting, officer-involved shooting of Antonio Salas. Now, he fired at officers during a foot chase. We're not going to watch the entirety of the foot chase because it's about 6, 7, 8 minutes long, but viewer discretion advised. He fired at officers, so they engaged back. And that's coming up for you guys here. As of May 2022, the investigation had completed. This specifically is in Colorado. The investigation had completed and found that the officers acted appropriately. It was a justified shooting. And let me get to the right scrub point here. So the officers end up reaching a point in the field here where they're chasing Mr. Salas, where they're approaching Lucas Salas, excuse me, asking for him to put his hands up. He is off in the distance here on the right side of the screen.
Hey, hold the air. We got.
They start to close distance. I am going to pause when the officer engages, but I'll give you guys a link to this one.
That's our target.
And you're right, that is a golf course. Now, something that I have already seen, and this is why we show this stuff, something I've already seen is this first view of the officer, right? In this first view of the officer, it's going to be very difficult to ascertain what we're looking at, what happens. So they're running right now, chasing him. Wide open, no cover, no concealment. Let's go to full screen. So here is the suspect, Lucas. The officer whose body cam we're looking at right now has less lethal deployed. And he is inside of, I would say, 5 feet at this point. Now, right here, you can see Lucas turn on the far right of your screen. And it's at that point that the other two officers engage. Let's move to the next camera view here. So this is one of the other officers.
Get on the ground!
Stopped it a little bit too late, but I think you got a better understanding of what happened there. And then let's go to the third officer. So this is that third officer that was on the far right flank of the three of them.
Put your hands in the air. Get on the ground.
Commands to stop.
Yep. Get on the ground now. Get on the ground. Bro, I'm gonna go hands
So
on.
he's starting to get close. Now, if you didn't hear what the officer just said, he said, "I'm going to go hands on." That means that he intends to close distance and take the suspect down to the ground. So look at the distance here, right there. At this point, Lucas draws his firearm, fires a shot, misses, and the other officer's engaged, and that's the last 3 seconds of the video. So again, here's the video if you want to go watch it. But I've already seen that first clip that we watched, the first officer's perspective that doesn't show the full context of what happens. There is a Smith & Wesson 40mm handgun that was recovered on the scene. All right, let's move on to the next non-Ukraine footage, and then we'll be jumping back into Ukraine stuff. We've got footage coming out of Afghanistan, the National Resistance Front. We're not watching all of this one either because it's a lot of talking, not a lot of shooting. But it's important to see that the National Resistance Front is continuing to fight, quote-unquote, back against presumably the Taliban. All the information that was provided with the video is the National Resistance Front firing on a village near Andarab, Afghanistan. Coming up for you guys now. I'm going to give you full screen.
شریک‌های جبهه آزادی افغان خداوند حفظت بکنه متین خان دی آفرین یک دن دی شریک‌های جبهه آزادی دی مقام بگیره دن این مرد غلطی داد پیکه خودم پیکه ده من رئیس بخش بده نزن با پیکه با کلاشیکوف نزن جاری جواب مایرو بگه ده امید ما دیگه میرولم دیگه خاط نکن قطی مازور میزنن دی مردت که بقاتل متا امین غلطی است پیکور یک پیاز نداری سر پیکورش ها پته کچلو چی کچلو کای میشه پیاز باشه.
All right, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. So I saw a couple questions in the chat. The law enforcement use of force situation we just watched took place in August something of 2021. Now the reason we're just now posting the footage is it was released because of the end of the 9-month investigation into it, and we get ours specifically from official releases from departments. Fire doesn't seem to be effective. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Let's move on to the last non-Ukraine footage. Then we got a whole nother 2 sections of Ukraine footage coming up right after this. We're gonna watch some historical Iraq footage of M1 Abrams absolutely big it, and it's a lot of fun to watch. We won't watch all of it though. It's kind of it's a longer video. Abrams pulls up here, and he's going to decide that something off to the right of your screen just shouldn't be there anymore. And there goes the 50. Looks like we've got some Bradleys and 113s maybe in the background.
Yeah.
You've got some Iraqi police escorts here.
Don't fuck.
You ready? Alright, let's go. Get ready. Go ahead and fucking blow hole these goddamn balls. That's all I see right now. Roger, that's what they were being engaged from.
Yeah, that house there.
I got
4-1, top hat fire.
Woo! I got a chubby!
And there it goes. Look at the spread here on these 2 rounds. That loader inside of that M1 is an absolute Chad.
4-1, top hat fire.
What's the time on this? On 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Just under 4 seconds.
Come on, loader! Yes!
You hear the coax going off.
Okay.
So that goes on for a few more minutes. If you guys want to watch the rest of that video, here you go. I'll give you a link to that. It's time to get into Trending Tuesday, guys. Now, viewer discretion advised. Sometimes these Trending Tuesday videos are our most popular, but oftentimes there is a not safe for work aspect to them. We're going to kind of shift things here as long as it's not too bad, and I'm going to make a general random, I shouldn't say random, but an arbitrary decision on my end as to whether or not it's too bad for us here. We're going to start to show a few more of those. So we're going to get through all 5 of our Trending Tuesday videos, and all 5 of them are Ukraine specific. Now, we've already watched, actually, I don't think we've watched this one. We did watch this, I believe. Nope. Sure didn't. I had to check my notes. So these are T-64 tanks operated by the Luhansk People's Republic being targeted and destroyed by Ukrainian artillery of the 24th Mech. Coming up for you guys now, full screen. This is our number 5 most trending video over the last 7 days. There is music, but it is copywritten. Now, something I want to note, I'm going to kill the music here. Something I want to note is the accuracy. Right? All rounds are hitting within 10 meters of those 2 targets. 10 to 15 meters. So there were 2 tanks there. Right at the beginning. And these are LPR tanks being hit by the 24th Mech. And we talked about this Sunday night, if I'm not mistaken, just the innate accuracy. That was our number 5 trending video on the website over the last 7 days. We've got a video that we did, and this is what confused me earlier. The number 4 trending video we reviewed earlier today, and it is a Russian tank attempting to lay a smoke screen on retreat, but takes a direct hit And I want to say that this was the 79th Air Assault. Let's take a look at that. That is the smoke screen there that's being laid in front of it. This is our number 4 trending video on the app and on the website. ! App if you don't have it. Now we're going to see. That's interesting. I think I just found the origin story of our dismount. Check back right here. He is ejected. You know what we can do? Let's turn the speed down. This is our player. We're going to turn the speed down to 0.25%. We're going to start at about here. Or a quarter, I should say. So 25% speed. You can see him ejected right there. And he is alive. He is alive. Right there. Come back. Right there. We'll turn the speed back up here to normal. He gets up. You've got 2 there, actually. 2 dismounts. So 1 here. 1 here. I would guess with a 3-person crew, our driver is still inside. As an eventuality, all 3 are seen outside the vehicle. Appeared. They're probably pretty banged up, though. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there total. It looks like 1 might be sitting down injured. And then presumed artillery strikes targeting those dismounts. Again, that was our number 4 trending video on the app and website. And it's really easy for you guys to grab these yourselves. All you got to do is click on trending up at the top of the website, and you'll be able to just find what you want. You can check all time. This is probably one of my favorite ambush examples that I point, soldiers to when we're doing, battle drills and stuff. But this is a great video to watch. So let's go back to the rest of our trending videos. The number 3 trending video on the app and website, we actually went over last week. This is a burning tank baited into a second ambush. So there's a lot to break down in this one, and we're gonna cover it pretty rapidly because you guys have already seen this. But for those that are just joining us that weren't able to last week, let's take a look at this video. We're gonna go full screen. So this is the first tank. The first tank ran into some problems. My understanding is that these are Ukrainians in these trenches here. Somebody made the comment, no, those are Russians. I'm going to tell you why that doesn't make sense here in just a minute. The tank is engaging somebody off to our right here. What we have here is Ukrainian SOF at the road juncture. Lone Ukrainian SOF individual. He is going to be firing around at a tank that's further down the road. You just saw the impact there. So Ukrainian SOF here, special operations. He fired around from a shoulder launcher, and it impacted in the road. This tank is gonna, you know, drop a gear into BDE and try and fly up the road at our, you know, lone operator there. But that lone operator is baiting this tank into a second ambush. And that ambush is going to be initiated from the left side of the road. Now, our operator is right here on your screen. Kind of hard to see him. From the left side of the road, an NLAW is going to fire and miss. Right? So you can see the trail of the NLAW, impact, and then the round over here. Now, down in the bottom right is our lone special operator, Ukrainian special operator. You can see him exit stage right. So he is still alive. The tank knows he's still down there, so the tank is about to engage. And the tank has driven into a grouping of trees. Now, the way I took this footage is that very first set of imagery. There's a road up here that cuts off to the left that you can almost just make out those trenches here. So the way I took this footage, and I'm interested to hear what you guys think or what you've seen out in your own searches through combat footage, in your own independent journalism journeys, whether or not that is the location of this initial activity, right? Up here, just to the north on the screen. I don't know what the cardinal direction is, but to me, this looks a lot like the beginning to the video. Now, if that was a Russian trench, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for me that there would be Ukrainian soft dismounts in the trees here. Right? Up to you guys. Interested to hear what you think. That was our number 3 trending video on the website and the app. Number 2, we also went over last week. This is the Dirty Dozen. Dirty Dozen is a volunteer force comprised of quite a few Americans. This is part of their fighting in Irpin. Irpin being just north of Kiev. So let's pull up UA war data. And we'll zoom in. Trying to get you to Irpin, but the map that they've used is kind of crappy. We'll use live UA map. I'm going to give you right side. All right, so Irpin, for those that aren't familiar, is here. The blue area is where Russia had pushed up in their furthest point of advance. The video we're about to watch from the Dirty Dozen is their involvement in the press of Russia off of that advancement. Oh, we'll be getting to Donbass and the current campaign map here in just a few minutes. Going over the footage right now. Here you go. Coming up for you full screen. Now, we won't watch all of this one, but this is the number 2 trending video on the app and website.
Coming our way? Incoming?
Now, for those wondering why we always ask why we can't hear any income, that was incoming. That fire was incoming. We watched a video on the Chechens earlier, and it was just nothing but outgoing. There was no evidence of them being in any actual contact. This that's incoming. Back to the footage. Bubba, yeah, we're going over the trending videos over the last 7 days on the app and the website. We went over this last week. Why do Ukrainian SF sound uber American? These are Americans. These are American volunteers. Uncle Carrot, I'm tracking that it happened a few weeks ago. Yep, this is not current footage. So this footage goes on for a little while. And again, we covered this last week, but it is our number 2 most watched video on the app and the website. And we're going to move on to our number 1 watched video on the app and the website, which we have not covered so far today or on the show. And we're only live twice a week, guys. So there's going to be things that you might have watched Saturday and Sunday. That Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I'm considering an adjustment to the schedule, but I'll announce something about that when and if we do. That we're not able to get to until Tuesday and or Thursday, okay? But the point of this show is ultimately to point you guys to the website where you can watch all of this stuff as we find it in real time and post it to the website. We are documentarians trying to aggregate all this footage into one spot rather than you having to go to Twitter and then go to Reddit and then go to YouTube and all of these platforms. Our website and app are designed to be one place where you can go to watch this footage. Okay, exclamation point app, Google Store, and on iOS. This is coming up for you now. So this is our number 1 watched video over the last 7 days, and this is a Russian transport truck being destroyed by a Ukrainian ATGM. I don't know specifically which. And it's coming up for you full screen now. You can see that round coming onto target here, just off to the right. We'll adjust the player down to 25%. Looks like it impacts right at the engine compartment. And that transport truck is now off the battlefield. All right, so those were our top 5 videos on the app and website. Once again, I'm going to show you guys how to do that really quick. Funker530.com. Really easy for you to find it. Coming up for you guys now, full screen. Here's our homepage on desktop. All you got to do is click on trending or latest. Trending gives you 7 days, 30 days, 1 year, and all time. Easy. If you guys ever want to access our merch, which is 15% off right now, in the left side drop down, just click on merch. And that'll take you right to our partner Bunker Branding's website for the merch. Their website's running a little bit slow. Awesome. Thanks, Bunker. Anyway, under normal circumstances, that's what you'd do. We're doing it live. let's jump back into the rest of the footage that I have. We got a couple more videos that I want to go through. I do need to check in on some of the support, though, guys. We've just been kind of rolling through all of this. Dark Moon, thanks for becoming a member. Members, make sure you guys have joined the Discord because that's where you can get your additional discount codes. Right now, the 15, you're only going to be able to use one code. So there is a 15% off code for the merch for everybody. That is Remember. Check the pinned comment up above. But members also have merch discounts at 10, 20, and 30% dependent upon your tier of membership. But if you don't want to pay Google any of your money, we also, as a team, keep in mind, it's not just one guy here. We are a team. We have development costs, website hosting costs. We also have a Patreon, right? There are future benefits to being a Patreon member that won't be available through the YouTube, largely just because of how integration works. I can't announce those just yet, but it's really exciting, and I'm really happy about it. Check out the Patreon, ! Patreon. So Dark Moon, thanks for becoming a member. Matt, thank you for the $20. Teach, thank you for the $5. What's your opinion on the Texan YouTuber Russell Bentley on the Russian side of the lines being used as a propaganda mouthpiece? To do that in an official capacity is I'm not a big fan, right? I've been accused of what were some of them? A CIA shill. That one was funny. I'm sure the CIA is paying me lots of dollars to be in my silkies in my basement. But to do that in an official capacity is kind of weird. That's the best way for me to put it without, really flying off the handle about it. Is that the is that the kick him the kick guy? A little bit hefty dude. What is this? How do I find that video? In the video, he was saying something like Russia's only used 10% of their combat power, and they're here to kick him in the behind or something. I laughed pretty hard at that video. That was funny. All right, got to move on though. Phoenix, thanks for the $2.17. Paul, thank you for the $20. And thank you guys for all the support. Christian, thanks for becoming a member. James, thank you for becoming a member. Genton, Dave, Coriolanus, and Caveman, thank you for becoming members. All right, let's get into the last few videos we have here, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time in the campaign map. So there's been a lot of talk about the 155s. The 777s and 777A2s, the 777s. But what not a lot of people have talked about is the Caesars. All right, the Caesars are a French 155. It is self-propelled. Those, we've finally got some footage of those being used in Ukraine. I almost said Afghanistan. Weird. And it's coming up for you guys right now. Now, there are quite a few differences here. Like I mentioned, the Caesar is self-propelled. We've got copywritten music here that I can't play. And a dozen of these were provided by France to Ukraine. Whereas with the 777s, those are towed artillery pieces. So the self-propelled, it's self-mobile. It can drive itself around. It's not tracked. It's just big-ass wheels. And I'll show you guys a picture of the Caesar. It's coming up for you. Accept all cookies, whatever. Here. That's a terrible picture. Give me a second. Here, enjoy this.
Only you can prevent
communism.
All right, here's the Caesar. So again, it's self-propelled rather than towed like the 777s are. And speaking of artillery, that was going to be a good segue for me to promote and talk about our most recent edited Funker News Network episode. So if you guys aren't familiar with the Funker News Network, we actually started this show to be an edited breakdown analysis of individual segments, right? That's why the live show is really just us showing individual pieces. We're not Ukraine experts, but we are all veterans of foreign wars. So what we do under most circumstances when Ukraine wasn't invaded is we take specific pieces of footage and we break down context for that specific footage. We don't pretend to be experts on any one conflict. We kind of separate ourselves from trying to be experts on Ukraine, even on the global war on terror, even though all of our team members served in it. We're really just here to document war. So the most recent piece of footage that we broke down and did some analysis on was specific to the Tilpan being destroyed by Ukraine after Russian media posted about it on Twitter and posted some propaganda videos and photos. If you guys want to check that out, there is a playlist on, actually, you know what? We'll just watch it. It'll take up, it's no longer than any of the other footage we've been watching. Enjoy it. I think the host is actually kind of a D-bag, but that's just me.
About to watch comes from Rubizny in eastern Ukraine. Stick around after the footage for a breakdown. Footage you're about to watch comes from Rubizny in eastern Ukraine. Stick around after the footage for a breakdown. The footage you just watched is entirely the fault of broken OPSEC, or Operation Security, by the Russians. Russian media personalities released a series of videos and tweets showcasing the 2S4 Tilpan 240mm self-propelled heavy mortar system being used offensively in Ukraine. The Tilpan has the distinction of being the largest mortar system in use today and is a nuclear-capable, yes, that's what I said, mortar system with a range of out to 20,000 meters with the right ammunition. It's self-propelled, meaning that it doesn't have to be towed by a truck or other vehicle, and its service dates back to the 1960s. In mid-May 2022, prominent pro-Russian personalities posted both pictures and video of the Tilpan in use near Rubizny, which was then exploited by Ukrainians not only to identify the location, but target the system with precision fires. Related to what specific fires were used, it's likely that drone-assisted precision-guided artillery resulted in the Tilpan being destroyed inside of 24 hours after the Russian posts. Loose lips sink ships, or in this case, big-ass guns. Now, Ukrainians are in receipt of over 100 M777 howitzers, as well as the M982 Excalibur extended range guided artillery shell. The Excalibur was developed as a longer-ranged alternative to conventional artillery shells and contains GPS guidance for improved accuracy. The Excalibur can fire all the way out to over 60 kilometers away with a circular error probable, or CEP, of only 4 meters. That means that out of 100 of these rounds fired, at least 50 of them will fall inside of a 4-meter circle on the target. It's unclear if the Excalibur was used in this engagement, but as of 2018, over 1,400 rounds had been used in combat situations. Now that's it for this episode of the Funker News Network. Make sure you've downloaded the app, you've hit the like, sub, and bell, and stay informed.
All right. And that definitely wasn't a beer. Definitely not. I want to turn off. Definitely not what you guys heard over the mic. Anyway, so that the reason I wanted to show you guys that is a very quick Funker News Network episode, but that is the original design of this show. It was never designed to be live, never designed for a discussion type format the way that we're doing it. The Funker News Network edited segments will go on. We recently restarted those largely just because of time, right? We stopped them when Russia invaded Ukraine because we wanted to engage with the community directly, show rapidly the information that we were finding. But the live show's not going anywhere. We are now going to be starting those back up, so keep an eye out for them. I'm trying to do at least one a week, hopefully 2 a week, if we have enough content for it. All right, let's check in on a couple of these last videos here. The DPR drones. Okay, so we've shown a lot of footage of Russia being targeted by Ukrainian drones, but that's a two-way street. Both Russia and Ukraine are using commercial type small loitering munitions. I shouldn't say loitering munitions. Small drones that are essentially helping them walk artillery and other munitions on target. Right. Thus far, Russia has tried to use some of its loitering munitions, but the footage that we have of that, it failed spectacularly. This is just a drone walking artillery onto Ukrainian tanks. Or I should say armor. Here you go. Full screen. And we've got copyrighted music, so we're going to have to turn that down. Best honest stream on the net. Thank you, guys. I'm just showing you the footage that we have, guys. You know, I'm not trying to be an expert. We're not trying to be. We are documentarians on combat footage because this stuff gets erased. It does. You know, I can tell you that towards the end of the Syrian civil war, at least at its height, YouTube removed, arbitrary percentage coming up, 80% of what we had uploaded. That, if for no other reason, is justification for the Funker 530 platform being around. The YouTube is a sub part of the Funker 530 platform. Our primary content means is the app and the website. That was the music, Battle Chemist. That was the music. So that is not the only view that we have of that activity, though. And I'm going to keep the website up here just so you guys can see navigation on the website. Well, there's no real point, but everything that we watch, I take directly from the website, guys. See? This is where we spend the majority of our time. So we have a second view of that, and this is actually the original view that we posted. The one that you guys watched was a follow-up view that we came across. This is the same engagement. Any Switchblade drone footage? We took a look at some Switchblade drone footage to start the night. I could probably pull that back up. And if you wouldn't mind tapping on the like button for us, appreciate it. The great YouTube purge was a great loss. Yep, sure was. And there are other creators that are out there, you know, documenting this solely on YouTube that weren't here for that. That don't remember that. That was a bulk of our YouTube footage. But luckily, because of the Funker 530 platform, we have that archived. That's ours. We've even somewhat strategically chosen who we use for our player to try to keep that from happening again. And I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole, but we are working to remain regardless of big social media. Last Thursday, if you want to better understand our challenges with just presenting the truth, presenting combat footage, right? I have my own biases as an individual, but we try to present the combat footage in the state that we receive it. If you want to better understand some of the challenges that we have with social media and showing combat footage, showing what's happening in the world, this is what people need to see and understand. Go back to last week's stream. It was on Thursday, and watch the first 20 minutes. I pulled back the curtain, and it was a very transparent stream. It's got to do with monetization, with page restrictions. Very transparent stream. You are propaganda of Ukraine, but okay. Were you not here? Do you purposefully not watch the Russian footage that we post? Like, I feel like 50% of the footage that we've shown tonight was Russian perspective. I don't know how to help you, man. I don't know what to do for you. Moving on. The very last thing, weird, is Russian perspective Su-25 footage. Oh, man. This must be the first Russian footage we've ever posted. This is a Russian perspective Su-25 low flyby. And we've talked a lot about, we've seen a lot of this type of footage from Ukraine, a lot of props to Ukraine's pilots. But keep in mind, both of these air forces are really dealing with the same battle space at the moment, right? Ukraine has been probably more effective than anybody thought, keeping Russia from maintaining any real form of air superiority. Russia still continuing to fly missions. They haven't stopped using the air. These pilots are just nap of the earth, trying to stay away from anti-air capabilities. All right. Now what I want to do is I want to spend a little bit of time looking at, oh God, what you just said is just so ironic based on what we're about to talk about. Just so ironic. We're going to use the Institute for the Study of War because I think they've done a great job really showing how much ground Russia is taking in the East right now. And, this is where my bias does kick in. It sucks to see because Russia doesn't belong in Ukraine. You could write that down or something if you wanted to. Oh, I'm getting spicy. It must be the White Claw. Watch the merch ad one more time while I finish my White Claw.
Only you can prevent
communism.
All right, welcome back. So the title of the stream means something. We have been talking for quite some time. We're looking at essentially the far east of Ukraine at the moment. So just for top-down perspective, this is where we're at, right? We're going to talk about salients again. We've been talking about them since day one. Well, I shouldn't say day one. It was actually like day 3 or 4. But effectively, as soon as Russia started taking ground to the northeast, they already have the ground that they've owned for quite some time in the southeast. A lot of that Donetsk area. Russia recently has had that breakout that we've talked about quite a bit near Popasna. Here, and now beyond the 24th Mech, which is this unit that's here, is right in the thick of it. This salient now, this would be its own salient, right? And that is essentially a bulge of troops surrounded on 3 sides, is actually much larger and much more concerning than that. So this is the Institute for the Study of War's assessment of that salient in and around Popasna. Russia has been continuously working to envelop the Severodonetsk salient that's here. And we started talking very early on about the risk of envelopment and fixing the far right Ukrainian troops that are in place out here. So you have the 17th Separate Tank Brigade, you have the 111th Territorial Defense, the 4th National Guard Brigade, the 79th Air Assault, and to an extent the 95th. So the 24th Mechanized Brigade down here is really what is one of the few, according to a general map, right? What we don't see, and I'll pull up Homenia of the West's map because I think it does a really great job. I am not a Ukraine expert. I rely on others that are able to really stay in the weeds. All I do is take a look at this after the fact. We'll look at Homenia of the West because it helps you understand where defensive fortifications have been set up for all of this. But the 24th is really all that stands right now to really keep Russia from connecting that envelopment, that encirclement of Ukrainian troops up by Severodonetsk. Now, I read somebody's comment earlier saying effectively what Ukraine needs to be considering doing is some form of a retrograde, maybe capitulating portions of Severodonetsk and essentially pulling back to this water feature. I don't recall what this water feature specifically is, but I can't say that I don't disagree with it. Because again, if Russia continues to make ground here, I mean, look at this, which I consider to be a more up-to-date map. If Russia continues to make ground here, then the risk of envelopment of these troops after Mariupol has fallen, from a morale perspective, would be a very, very heavy loss for Ukraine. Excuse me. Now, I'm not going to pretend to try to analyze, roads. GLOCs, the majority of Russia's GLOCs up here in the north are along this, set of MSRs, highways. But let's pull up Homenia of the West's map because I think he did a really great one as well. Stand by. And we want his, not the Kharkiv map. We want this one. All right. So now this is going to be busy. It's going to be busy. I'm going to put myself on the far left, but start to soak in what you're looking at here. And I'm going to give you a link to this map. There's a lot going on here. This is Homenia of the West, and I love his work. So the UA war data is an oversimplified, on purpose. It's a small team that's making it, and I love their work because I love that I can rapidly go to it. Homenia of the West, he is a single guy who is making a very complex overlay of a very complex situation in eastern Ukraine. UA war data is what I use to pretty rapidly, if I see footage from the 24th. Or from the 3rd or the 17th, the 111th, I can go to that map and see, generally speaking, where they are faster than I can on this map. This is the map that I go to when he updates it to really help me understand how Ukraine has set up their defensive positions, where the axes of advance are from Russia, where the counteroffensives are from Ukraine. Ukraine's counteroffensives in the north, which is going to be up here to the top left of your screen, near Kharkiv, have kind of stalled. There is a salient that is now developed about 10 kilometers from the Russian border. But this helps you, and he provides a lot of really great call outs of information. Again, I'm going to give you a link here. I keep seeing comments in the chat like, Russia's winning, Ukraine's winning. It's so difficult to say that either is winning, right? Russia is now gaining ground in Donbass, while Ukraine is gaining ground, or at least has been for the last couple weeks in Kharkiv and in Kherson area. But Russia is also losing or taking casualties at what I would consider to be an alarming rate, right? So at what cost? You start to talk about correlations with the Winter War. At what cost is Russia, quote, winning? How do you balance that with the amount of casualties, with the amount of mothers in Russia, wives, sisters, husbands? I don't, they're women that could potentially have been killed. I don't know. Ukraine is losing land, but they're also gaining land, right? So if we were to go back to the Institute for the Study of War, here you go, right? This is the point that I'm making. Is we're always focused on that 1 or a 0. We're focused on, is Russia winning or are they losing? Is Ukraine winning or are they losing? It's not that simple, right? Ukraine is taking ground back near Kharkiv. Ukraine has taken back ground. Let's go to live UA map. If you look at this in the grand scheme, Ukraine has taken back more ground than people will give them credit for, in my opinion. Here. Everywhere that's blue was previously Russian held, and it's no longer is. Right? So if Ukraine took that ground back, there are those that are out there that are refusing, to believe that is a win for Ukraine. It absolutely is. Now, you're absolutely right. Russia is gaining ground, but on a scale, if you look at a scale, that amount of ground is bigger than that amount of ground. Right? It doesn't defeat the fact that Russia is now occupied a vast majority of Ukraine, much more than Ukraine would want. Ukraine would just want them to just clear out, right? At this point, it's hard to see that happening. It is hard to see, especially with what's happening in the South, the setting of conditions to just stay, right? Changing to the ruble. I mean, I've talked about this night after night after night. Changing to the ruble, installing local governments. Oh, my goodness. What? Hold on. Give me a second. Speaking of installing governors, Russia picked like a custodial officer for like one of its governors. Ukrainian school no, that's not it. I've got to find the story. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The purpose and point of that whole thought process is Russia is establishing a precedent for staying in the South, for staying in these areas that they have taken over in the South and in the North, right? Zaporizhia. They don't intend to capitulate this back. The original argument for this incursion, this special military operation, was that there was an ethnic peace, especially in the Donbass and in Crimea. And when they pressed in from the north to take Kiev, that argument went out the window. I feel like we end up in the same discussion, the same conversation, almost every stream. The biggest concern, like I said, right now, and the biggest problem set for Ukraine is this breakout near Popasna. And the propensity or possibility, I shouldn't say propensity, the possibility that there is some form of an envelopment of these forward deployed or eastern deployed Ukrainian units, the 4th, the 111th, the 17th, and to an extent the 79th, the 24th as well. But then you also have problems with the 30th out here, the 30th separate mech brigade. if this Popasna salient starts to work its way south to envelop the 30th, you can essentially begin to carve off and chunk these very large amounts of Ukrainian forces. Russia is gaining ground in the east. Again, though, they are losing ground in the north. When you look at Kharkiv, to the north of Kharkiv, you've got Ukrainian soft units that are essentially closing in and developing this salient for Russia. And that's best articulated on Homini's map. I got to pull it up for you guys. That's one of the other ones. Stand by. Coming up for you now. So this is that area that we were just looking at. I'm going to just give you full screen here. So you've got soft elements that are pressing that, you know, those Russians back towards the border. There is like a 10-kilometer distance here to the Russian border. Now, the reason that Ukraine hasn't been able to press any further here is really just artillery, right? So the range that they are now in for Russia. Now, Russia could push up further. You know, it's not that simple. Once again, that's an overgeneralization of a complex problem. But that 25-kilometer radius for you know, Russia's known artillery systems is really, and it's this dotted line that you're looking at here, is really what's keeping Ukraine's further push at bay, based on solely a 2D representation of a three-dimensional issue. You know, again, anybody that you're watching on YouTube that is telling you it is definitively this problem is full of shit, right? We're looking at maps and pictures. We're only going to really understand the situation be standing right there. Any thoughts on the constant transition from offense to defense and what you might think is vital ground and key terrain? It depends on, from a vital ground and key terrain perspective, on where exactly we're at. Population centers are going to be important to retain and control in almost any situation, largely just because they are hubs for ground lines of communication, which when people hear GLOCs, you know, you think very specifically of information. But that's your supply. Those are your supply corridors, you know, beans, bullets, fuel, that kind of stuff. If you control population centers, not unlike Kharkiv, you know, speaking of, quote, winning, there is not a single large population center outside of Kherson that has been taken by Russia. Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, Kiev. Russia bypassed all of those, and it wasn't for lack of trying. So your population centers are important. Essentially, anywhere where those major roads are going to intersect, those are kind of key areas. And that's another reason that I love, you know, Homini of the West, because he calls those out specifically. Let me pull up the other map. Here you go. Hello? Thank you. So, objective point of maneuver 1, right? Kramatorsk, Slovyansk. He's put so much thought into this, so much more than I would ever have time to. And it really, it's very objective too. He's calling out the you know, like I said, axes of advance of Russia, where Russia is gaining, where they're losing, where Ukraine is gaining and where they're losing. He has called out Ukraine. So Russian Ministry of Defense on 12 May claims Ukraine military attempted a false flag chemical attack somewhere south of Izum. Here, I'll give you this. Let's go to the right. Right here. I absolutely love unbiased sources. I, of course, have my own bias, and it's not anti-Russia. It's not pro-Ukraine. It is anti-invasion, right? And here's my thought process behind that. Like, quite honestly, here's the thought process behind my bias. I'm American. I'm not Ukrainian. I feel for the Ukrainians that have been invaded, but there are American problems that we have right now that I do care about. I think about every day. There are homeless veterans. There are kids that are sick and hungry. But I care for the Ukrainian people that have been invaded. I care for the Russian people that are now having to deal with economic sanctions and are in lines stretching around block after block after block just to get a loaf of bread. That's what anti-invasion means. I'm not pro-Ukrainian. I have no Ukrainian ethnicity. I care very much, and I think Ukraine needs to smack, Russia's military right in the dick. I do. They need to go. You need to get out of their country. It's not your country. Get out of there. Just go. It's not your place to be. That's why it makes me laugh when I see the comments like, "Oh, you're Ukrainian propaganda." No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Pro-human. That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. Rich coming from an American. That's whataboutism for you, right? Here's the thing. Under most circumstances, there's always exceptions to the rules. The individual soldier, you've got bad people everywhere. The individual soldier isn't the source of where your hate should be directed, right? I didn't deploy to Afghanistan and my friends didn't deploy to Afghanistan. My buddies that went to Iraq, they weren't there fighting because they had a firm belief in the invasion of Iraq. They were there fighting because they were told to be there, and they fought so that the buddy next to them didn't get hit. The same thing is happening in Ukraine. The same thing has happened in just about every war you can imagine. There are those that are pulling the strings that have more. I got to be careful. There are those pulling the strings that deserve more of your hate than the individual soldier, regardless of what country they're from. Now, again, there are exceptions. Soldiers on the ground do some terrible, terrible things, and I hope they fry for it. I do. I don't care what your nationality is. You do something stupid that you're not supposed to do. You do something inhumane. You piss on corpses. You kill civilians. Fry. See you later. Get out of here. But the U.S. invaded, so are you against that, Ronnie? Let's see. 2003, when the United States invaded Iraq in 2003, what was I doing? I was a freshman in high school. You know what? I'm going to be real with you. You know what mattered more to me then? When I was going to get my first car. Right? By the time I was old enough to understand the situation, I started asking questions. Why are we here? That doesn't make sense. I never deployed to Iraq. I have a firm understanding of why we were in Afghanistan. A firm understanding. See, that whataboutism, that's a sins of the father argument. Right? So if you break the law, do you think your daughter or your son should have to pay for that in the public eye? No. That doesn't make sense. Your battle buddies and your family, Ken. Yep. Logic is wasted on side chat. Yeah, but that's the purpose of this stream. That's the whole purpose of this isn't for me to try to show you guys or flex some level of expertise. It's to communicate and engage with our community, right? Because the Funker 530 community wasn't designed to just be behind a curtain. It says Funker 530 combat footage and veteran community. And in some cases, it says Funker 530 veteran community and combat footage. Right? We're supposed to be a community of people that care about the underlying mission. And the underlying mission is that people see what war looks like. Right? Again, I'm not here to tell you that I'm not a Ukraine expert. I'm not even an expert in the global war on terror. I'm not an expert in the Haqqani Taliban versus the normal Taliban. I could tell you some minor differences, right? What matters more to me is to showcase what combat looks like, to help people understand what law enforcement officers go through every day. Again, there are bad eggs everywhere. There are bad military personnel. There's bad officers. Right? The officers do something bad. Guess what? I hope you get what you deserve. But people seem to think that you have to be a 1 or a 0. You have to be some form of a blue or a red. Are you for or against? Are you with or against? It's not that simple. The world's not that simple, guys. You know, I'm just a guy. We're all just people. If we all just individually for a minute took a second and thought about things, just took a step back, says, hold on. Bad politicians. Yeah, and there's good politicians too. Politicians get a bad rep because a lot of them are pretty bad. But there's good ones out there. I have friends that I grew up with that went into local politics that are now working to go into state level politics. I trust them implicitly with my life. I do. Now, there's going to be somebody out there that, based on the precedent that's been set, is going to inherently distrust them. Why? You don't know anything about that individual. And the same thing happens in, content creation. Right? There's a guy on a TV, or there's someone on the TV, right? They're trying to spin me a narrative. Well, I'm not a media conglomerate. We're just 6 veterans that care very much about people understanding what veterans go through, what war looks like. Boring? Well, then leave. I don't care. If you want to be here, you want to be here. And I appreciate you for spending some of your time here. You could have spent a portion of your night just about anywhere, but you chose to spend it here. And that matters. It matters to us. It does. Listen, I'm just a guy wearing short shorts. And I'm happy that you spent some time with me tonight. We're going to close things out. All right. Thanks for being here. Make sure you guys are downloading the app. Make sure you go check out the merch. It's 15% off. We really appreciate it. It does help us out. Again, we're a small team trying to do as many big things as we can and collate literally as much combat footage as we can compile from across the globe. So go check it out. I think there's some pretty cool designs. I'm wearing our newest one. That's the NLaw shirt. And we'll be back here on Thursday. Keep an eye out for a schedule change, though. I'm thinking of doing Monday and Thursday. I don't know. We'll talk about it on Thursday, though. Good night, and stay informed.
Поплавився янтар, Байрактар, Байрактар. Російські танкісти сховались в кущі, щоб лаптям посорбати довбані щі, та трохи у щах перегрівся навар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Зі сходу припхались до нас барани, для вас становлення великої страни, найкращий пастух баранячих отар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Їх доводи, всяке озброєння, різне, ракети, потужні машини залізні, у нас на всі доводи є коментар. Байрактар, Захопити хотіли нас зразу, і ми зачаїли на орків образу. З бандитів російських робить примар. Байрактар. Байрактар. Російська поліція справи заводить, на вбивцю рашистів ніяк не знаходить. Хто ж винен, що в нашому полі глухар? Байрактар. Байрактар. Веде пропаганду кремлівський урод, слова пропаганди ковтає народ, тепер нове слово знає їх цар.
Patrol.